Today I'm going to show you how to apply fluoro powders. It's the slipperiest glide wax that we have available to us. We apply them to a properly glide wax ski. First of all, we want to make sure that our skis are properly waxed, which means that the glide zones have been properly saturated with glide wax. Fluoro applications are a post-treatment. In other words, it's a treatment that we apply to the glide zones of the skis after we've already applied our main glide wax treatment. So if you're following along on our videos, go back to the advanced glide waxing video and follow through the process of applying glide wax to your skis. When you've reached the end and you've finished your skis, then you're ready to apply fluoro powder. Fluorocarbons are very good at repelling moisture and dirt. Because of their low coefficient of friction, they're terrifically slippery substances, just as you may have discovered on Teflon-coated frying pans. In order to get the most longevity out of your fluorocarbon application to your bases, you need to apply extreme heat. Fluoro waxes tend to melt at temperatures very close to the melting point of your bases. Polyethylene bases melt at about 150 degrees Celsius. Fluorocarbon waxes also melt at temperatures very close to 150 degrees Celsius. These are also temperatures at which your iron will probably start to smoke. So make sure that you're applying your fluoros in a well-ventilated area, or even consider using a mask in order to protect yourself from the fumes of any burning waxes. There are lots of fluorocarbon waxes on the market, and there are many ways of applying it. The most effective and most durable application of fluoro-based waxes is done with fluoro powders. Fluoro powders have the longest durability, but they're the most complicated and the trickiest to apply properly. So let me show you some simple ways of applying fluoro powder. I'm going to show you how to apply a fluoro powder-based wax that is made by Q-Sport. It's actually a fluoro powder called TNT. But the application method applies to all fluoro powders. Applying fluoro powder can be a little tricky. The way that we do it is by trying to distribute the powder itself as evenly as possible on the skis. Now that's kind of tricky to do because it is a powder, and powder tends to bounce around on a dry base, and the powder itself is also dry. So let's take a look at a couple of different strategies for applying the fluoro powder without wasting it. This stuff tends to be fairly expensive, and you don't want to waste it at all. You don't want to be too stingy with their application, because if you're too stingy with the application of fluoro waxes, you risk the danger of burning your bases. You still want the fluoro film to protect your base from the direct heat of the hot waxing iron. So we apply it in a sprinkling motion along the ski. One method is just to try to apply it on either side of the groove. I find that when I apply fluoro powders, it always finds its way into the groove, no matter how careful I am not to get it in the groove. So I suggest that you use the groove as your method of distributing the powder on the ski base itself. Okay? So let's put it on as evenly as we can. And remember, we're just applying it to the glide zone of the ski. The other little trick that I do to get it out of the groove, because having this fluoro powder in the groove isn't going to do you much good, we really want it on the glide surfaces of the ski. So if I take my little finger and run it through the groove, I automatically distribute the powder on either side of the groove relatively evenly when I do that, except for a nice little pile of it at this end. Okay, so that's how we evenly distribute the powder on the ski. My iron is now at 145 degrees, and now I'm ready to melt the fluoro powder. Okay, so the way that I do this is, remember, the iron is very hot, so I'm going to run the iron very quickly over the fluoro powder and in one continuous motion. The next step is to distribute that fluoro application as evenly as possible in the glide zone. And the way that we do that is that you can actually see right now that the fluoro is actually fairly unevenly applied. It has streaks, and you can see areas of high concentration of fluoro, and you can see areas of low concentration of fluoro. We want to make that as even as possible. And the way that we do that, after the first melting, we take our horsehair brush and we brush up the wax. And the process is one of moving the horsehair brush back and forth to try to raise powder from the melted layer of wax on the ski. And you can see that process distributes a fairly even dusting of fluoro powder. The next step is to run the hot iron once again over the fluoro wax powder to melt it into the base of the ski. And again, speed is the essence of distributing the fluoro quickly and evenly without melting your bases. One continuous pass. That's now cooled. Let's brush it up again. Okay, so I'm going to zigzag my brush back and forth as I brush up the fluoro powder. And typically I'll do 3 brush ups and 3 meltings of the fluoro powder in order to get a fairly even distribution. This is the last application of the powder, and after it cools, I'm going to brush it out. Okay, this is different than brushing it up. Brushing it up distributes the powder. Brushing it out removes the excess surface wax from the base of the ski. Now I'm going to just brush out the wax from tip to tail, removing all the excess surface wax from the skis. And then I keep brushing in the direction of travel from tip to tail on the glide zones till I've removed all the surface wax. Because it's that surface wax that's actually going to slow you down. The wax that we're interested in is the wax that actually gets absorbed into the ski base. That's the stuff that's going to make your skis glide quickly. Now that we finally brushed out the fluoro powder from the surface of the skis and we've got our maximum absorption, we should get a very long durability out of that fluoro application to the bases of the skis. So go out and enjoy some slippery skiing.